Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into some heavy-hitting but absolutely fascinating ideas from the psychoanalyst Carl Jung. We're going to tackle one of his biggest concepts, what it really costs, psychologically, to become who you're meant to be. So, let's just start with the question that Jung believed everything hinges on. Are you living for the world or for yourself? Now, this isn't just some late-night dorm room question. For Jung, your answer to this, whether you know it or not, is shaping your entire mental life. Your health, your choices, everything. Okay, to really get what he's talking about, we have to start with his idea of psychological adaptation. See, Jung didn't think of us as just these isolated little islands. No, he saw every single one of us as constantly trying to strike a balance between two huge, powerful worlds. On one side, you've got the outer world, right? That's your job, your family, the culture you live in. Basically, reality. And we have to adapt to that. But then there's the other side, your inner world. These are the signals coming from your unconscious, your dreams, your gut feelings, all that stuff that's bubbling up, completely separate from what you think you want. So for Jung, being psychologically healthy isn't about being happy all the time. It's about maintaining this incredible, delicate balancing act. It's about successfully listening to both the world out there and the world in here. But, and this is the big question, what happens when that balance gets thrown completely out of whack? And this is where we get to one of Jung's most radical ideas. He looked at neuroses, things like anxiety and depression, and said, that's not a disease, at least not in the way we usually think about it. He saw it as a flashing red light, a symptom, telling you that your whole system of adaptation has failed. So how does it fail? Well, one way is by getting totally lost in the outside world. This is when you try to be everything everyone else wants you to be. You adapt only to the external demands, your boss, your parents, society. Meanwhile, your inner self, your own true needs, get completely ignored until the whole thing just breaks. But you can't just run in the other direction, because that's just as bad. This is what happens when you adapt only to your inner world and start to neglect reality. All that energy that should be going out to deal with the world gets turned inward. And pretty soon, as Jung said, your fantasies start messing with your perception of what's real. All right, so if leaning too far either way is a problem, what's the solution? Jung's answer is this incredibly challenging, lifelong process he called individuation. It's the ultimate form of adaptation, but man, does it come with a price tag. So what is individuation? It's the journey of becoming authentically you. It means you make a conscious choice to adapt, first and foremost, to your inner reality, to listen to that voice inside you above all the noise outside. But here's the twist. The very moment you do this incredibly honest thing, you're hit with a massive consequence. And I want you to really focus on the word he uses here, tragic. It's not just guilt, it's tragic guilt. Why? Because it's not guilt from doing something wrong, it's the guilt that comes from doing something profoundly right for yourself, which means breaking away from what the group expects. See, this guilt pops up because from the perspective of the collective, your family, your community, your culture, what you're doing looks like desertion. You're stepping off the well-worn path. And Jung argues that society kind of has a right to feel betrayed. You've created a debt, and that debt has to be paid. This tragic guilt requires what Jung calls repayment. But how on earth do you repay society for the sin of becoming yourself? You can't just say, my bad. The payment has to be worth something. You have to offer a ransom. And this right here is the moral contract at the very center of Jung's idea. If you pull yourself out of the day-to-day conformity of the group, you take on a new duty. You have to give back something of equal or greater value. You have to create something, art, science, a new idea, that can serve as a substitute for your conformity. You basically have to enrich the very group you broke away from. So let's be crystal clear on this. For Jung, becoming an individual is not about selfishly doing whatever you want. That's not it at all. It is a massive moral obligation. To just go your own way without producing something of value for the whole, well, in Jung's eyes, that's not just immoral, it's psychologically suicidal. So this leaves all of us staring down two very different paths in life, two totally different destinies. And the choice isn't really between a good path and a bad one. It's a choice between two different kinds of responsibility. You've got two options on the table. Path number one is the path of imitation. You submit to what the collective wants. You walk the authorized, accepted roads. Path number two is the path of individuation. You buy your freedom from conformity, but the price is creating an equivalent work that benefits everyone else. Society basically has a different job description for each path. From the person who follows, it wants conformity. It wants imitation. But from the person who individuates, oh, it demands something so much bigger. It demands your absolute best work, a real contribution that actually pushes humanity forward. And so Jung leaves us with this final, really sharp question. It makes you look at your own life and ask more than just, am I being my true self? It forces you to ask, okay, what ransom am I paying for that freedom? It's a heavy question about the real cost and the incredible responsibility of truly being yourself.